crowd, thanks for coming out today. Really appreciate everybody coming. We live in a great city when we have this kind of turnout for an event. It's what I love about Fort Collins. I want to welcome you here. My name's Kurt Friesen. I'm the Park Planning and Development Director. Today is a big day. We're celebrating the opening of the Poudre River Whitewater Park. Yes. And there are many in this crowd who have been involved, who have been passionate about this, who have made this day possible. Please join me in welcoming our guests. First up, Mayor Wade Troxel.
Good morning, everybody. Isn't this great? Wow! Woo! What a great day in Fort Collins. It's a beautiful day, and it's a great day and really dedicating and opening a legacy project in our community. It's awesome, isn't it? And this couldn't be done if it wasn't for the legacy of leaders in our past. And I'd like to recognize Susan Kirkpatrick, who's here, former mayor. Susan. And Karen Wykenot, who's here, former mayor. And Dave Edwards, former city council member and community leader. And also our current city council members, Emily Gargle, Emily, and Kristen Stevers, Mayor Pro Tem, Ken Summers, District 3, and Susan Kukowski, who will be speaking later. Yep. You know, and it does take leadership and over many years. And I think about this site. And with our old power plant, the Fort Collins power plant at 1935, and actually utilizing cooling water from the Poudre River, but even going further back, the Poudre River has always been a key part of Fort Collins from the original founding. So there's a marker right over there, which is the settlement site after it moved from around LaPorte to what is now Fort Collins. And so take a look at that original marker, and that's where we are here today along the Poudre River and recognizing this particular project. And I think about Elwood Mead, one of the first professors at Colorado State University, and Lake Mead's named after Elwood Mead, and talking in 1905 that the Poudre River was the most working river in the United States. So think of that then. So a lot of the diversions, a lot of the irrigation ditches and the canals that go throughout our community, and the diversion structures that were built into the river. So this part of the Poudre River actually had a lot of stuff in it, and it was anything but natural. And so to get to this point where we have the Poudre River Master Plan, where we're actually reclaiming a lot of it for natural habitat and the flooding and things that naturally occur. And this particular portion, we've reclaimed it really for the public benefit for a whitewater park and the ability to access the river. You know, growing up here, the river was the back door. It had the riprap, it had the old cars. And now, today, it's our front door. And it's an opportunity to actually access the river, use the river, and appreciate the river along with the bike trails and everything else that the river provides, including our Fort Collins drinking water as well. So this is a real big deal. And I remember a year ago when at Heritage Park when we did the groundbreaking, and really didn't know how it would turn out. Well, this is really a gem now of Fort Collins. And I'm really excited to be here today and to appreciate all the things that this great city can do for the people of Fort Collins. And so thanks to all of you that were able to be here today. And it's also the visionaries of these kinds of spaces that allow us to have the Poudre River Whitewater Park. It really takes champions within our community to bring us to this point. And to all of those champions, thank you. The Poudre River is indeed a treasure, and we must guard it, and we must protect it, and we must also enjoy it. And so that's what we're here today, is to recognize that all those uses, but also this particular one here today with the Whitewater Park. This park helps to build community, strengthen our downtown, help the River District become even more vibrant within our downtown. and it contributes to the legacy of what we know as our Poudre River and now the Poudre River Whitewater Park. So thanks to you, thanks to all of our partners that have made this possible, thanks to our elected officials and past leaders in Fort Collins, thanks to the supporters. We've had great support on this particular project, thanks to our city staff and the designers and everyone that helped to play a contributing role in this to date. I should also recognize that here today is Joe Negoose's representative, Ewo Harrow. Thank you, Arrow, for being here as well, and Congressman Negoose. So it's a great day for Fort Collins, and thank you for celebrating this momentous opportunity in our community. And let us welcome this new era of the Poudre River, and let's enjoy the Poudre River Whitewater Park. So it's my pleasure and opportunity to now introduce Council Member Susan Gukowski.
I just wanted to also recognize we have I bet we have a lot of celebrities in the crowd and a lot of dignitaries that we didn't even mention. Raise your hand if you're a dignitary, celebrity. A celebrity in your own family? Come on.
My own mind.
In your own mind. Me too. My husband has a saying. He says he's a legend in his own mind. But I do want to recognize at least two of our elected officials that I know are here. Kathy Kipp, who is our state representative. And Joanne Janal, our state senator, who's right over here. Did I miss anybody? We have assorted other people who are either have run for office or are planning to. So know that we appreciate y'all being here too. Wanted to tell you that one of my favorite movies is A River Runs Through It. Have any of you seen that? Yeah, great movie. About fly fishing in Montana and a lot more. Well, one of the things that makes Fort Collins unique, can you think about that? Is that, and exceptional, is that a river runs through it. And it also runs through District 1, I have to tell you. Sorry, I just couldn't pass that one up. So here we are today celebrating the Poudre River, and it is the jewel of our city. Over the decades, our river has seen great drama and interesting characters. It has many interesting stories to share. So through our Heritage Trail program, we'll elevate those stories in a cohesive manner through the river corridor, which you see here. The Cache-la-Poudre River National Heritage Area follows 45 miles of the lower working cache through Fort Collins, Windsor, Greeley, and beyond. Through the Heritage Trail program, we're creating cohesive branding, storytelling, and visitor wayfinding throughout the river corridor. Interpretive signs and viewing areas next to the river will enable visitors to understand more clearly the messages of history and the environment. Not only will our Whitewater Park be a recreational phenomenon, but it will also serve as a heritage gateway, a physical and informational gateway created through a funding partnership including the Downtown Development Authority, City of Fort Collins, and the Poudre Heritage Alliance. Our next gateway, Heritage Gateway, is expected to be in the vicinity of Linden, in that way, and the Poudre River, and will be relating to water and culture, water and agriculture, with a nod to the unique and diverse cultures of the Tres Colonias neighborhoods and the migrant sugar beet workers. So with that, I won't go on. I could probably go on, but I wanted to give you a brief history. And thank you for being here to celebrate this wonderful addition to our community. And so now it's my honor to introduce to you Jack Graham. But before that, I just wanted to say just a couple of words. Is that okay? Sure. All right. Wanted to tell you a little bit about Jack Graham. I want to take us back to CSU when he was athletic director. We have been CSU fans, proud to be a Ram fan forever. I think we have season tickets to just about everything. We bleed green and gold. And I need to express my appreciation and recognition of Jack Graham because of his vision, we have a stadium on campus. For some of you, that's a good thing. For me, it's a great thing. And it's a beautiful thing. And thank you for that. For for his vision with CSU. But then he continued, and as a local business owner and as a philanthropist, he has had a vision for what he would like to see Fort Collins to be. And he and Ginger, who also has a wonderful addition to our city with Ginger and Baker, have used their resources to create some pretty wonderful things in our community, including the bridge that we just crossed. Great appreciation for everything that you do, Jack. And here he is to speak.
Ginger, would you come up and join me? By the way, did Hilbert? No, Hilbert didn't raise his hand. Coach Tom Hilbert, best coach in America, any sport, women's volleyball. And the other, I'll leave the other sports stuff alone. Well, thank you for including Ginger and me in the grand opening of Fort Collins' new and absolutely amazing Whitewater Park. This is such a great addition to our city and for our community. I'd like to recognize, congratulate, and thank a number of people who made this happen. First, the citizens of Fort Collins, who back in 2015 approved the creation of the Community Capital Improvement Program to build projects like this and make our city an even better place to live. We all have some skin in the game here in this Whitewater Park. We should point to the success of this park as a great example of how investing in our community works, and we should continue to invest wisely. Thank you to Mayor Wade Troxel, who I think belongs in the Hall of Fame of city mayors in America. He does an outstanding job for Fort Collins. He served selflessly and he served with great leadership. He, together with our city council, had the vision and the will to drive this project through the political, administrative, and bureaucratic process that is always a huge part of succeeding at projects like this. There's a large number of people in our community who gave so much of their time and of themselves to make this happen. They had a vision which frankly goes back 25 years. And a relentless passion to see the Whitewater Park come to life. Ben Leffler, Tim O'Hara, Jeff Burley, I saw Ben, I saw Tim O'Hara back there, I haven't seen Jeff. The sacrifices those three men make were just incredible. Thank you for all you did and all that you sacrificed. I say this with sincerity, without each of you, this would never have happened. Our outstanding city administration leadership, who were charged with executing the plan and delivering a successful result, deserve so much credit and so much appreciation from us. Darren Atterbury, Jeff Mihalik, and Kurt Friesen delivered nothing short of an outstanding job. Thank you and congratulations. And I'd like to highlight the efforts of Kurt Friesen. There was no detail too small for Kurt. He made sure that the last 10% of this project, which I think is the most important part of any project, would give us a Whitewater Park that is something we can be in awe of. Kurt, thank you so much and congratulations. And finally, thanks to the many other members of our community who gave money and wrote personal checks to partner with our city to make this happen. The Whitewater Park is a great example of a successful public-private partnership. Ginger and I think about the Whitewater Park in two ways. First, as a great addition to our community that is going to bring to life a new district in Fort Collins, the River District. People from Fort Collins in northern Colorado and from around Colorado, even from around our entire country, will be attracted to come to Fort Collins to see the Whitewater Park and the River District. New businesses will be formed, and the health of our community to even higher levels of economic strength are going to occur. The park is going to prove to be a great asset to our city. Second, our parents were incredible role models to me and Ginger and many others. They were relentless contributors and servants in their community. We are honored and we feel privileged that we are able to name the Whitewater Park Bridge, the Graham Family Bridge, in honor of my father and mother, Joe and Janet Graham. Dad served the hard war in World War II. He was a leader in our church community and the Boy Scouts. Mom was president of the PTA, our church secretary, and she led the Pink Ladies at the hospital, and they gave relentlessly. They worked tirelessly and quietly to make our community a better place. The plaque that's on the bridge that honors Dad and Mom simply says, Joe and Janet Graham were committed to family, community, service, faith, and freedom. The bridge honors their contributions to our family and their community, a legacy to the lives that they lived. For us, the bridge honors two great people who are an example for all of us to serve our community and to live great lives. Thanks again for including me and Ginger in this grand opening. Congratulations to us all for a great job done. Now let's enjoy this place. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, so I must be that big administrative bureaucratic representative, Jack. I love these guys. Let me ask for my coworkers around this space. Would you just raise your hand, City of Fort Collins coworkers? You know, yeah. So, you know, I get to be part of welcoming and be part of just celebrating and all that, but without the 2,400 colleagues that are delivering world-class municipal services on a daily basis, this city would not be what it is. Leadership matters. We've inherited amazing leadership from councils of the past and mayors of the past and mayors of current and council members currently and tens of thousands of city employees over the 140 plus years and community leaders and all those sorts of things, and they're getting a little restless down there. You know, I just want to say, and Kurt's probably going to talk about this, there is, of course, we're talking about Fort Collins, there is, of course, yet more to this vision. This is a phase, this is a reach. There's more in that direction and more in this direction. And so our work today really is a celebration of sort of the beginning of the work that's going to go on here of this entire corridor. But three things that we really went after here. One is recreation, one is river safety, and the juxtaposition between the built and the natural environment. So recreation, clearly it's here. Look at how people got here today. Some of us drove, some of us walked, some of us rode bikes, some of us kayaked, some of us rode horses. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And recreation matters to this town, not only because it's fun, but because we want to be a healthy community. And this is forwarding that strategic objective about building a healthy community. Safety matters. There are going to be less properties that are flooding because of this project. So it's not just sort of a pretty face. It has a deep, deep function to it, and that is it helps take properties out of the floodplain and out of the floodway, and that's a big deal. And that's something that's directly tied to council-adopted policy around stormwater objectives. And then if you had a chance over the years to spend time in this area, you know that the habitat was not an ideal situation for habitat and for restoration. There have been a lot of really, really, really smart people working on that topic over the last couple of years and will be in perpetuity. This is, for me, a story of a really big vision and the power vision. We talk a lot about Fort Collins plans and then builds its plans. The plans are not done at 300 LaPorte on Tuesday nights at 6 o'clock alone. We have thousands of people participating and co-creating in this vision, and it's spectacular. And I've said it before, no one has ever said to me in the time that I've gotten to be part of co-creating, no one has ever said stop thinking big for Fort Collins. So when I think about a big vision within our view shed, just look at that building. That is a former City Light and Power building. We used to lease that to Brian Wilson and CSU for about $1 a year. I think we raised his rates. It's $100 a year now, I think. And they partnered with lots of folks and turned it into really a world-class research center. This was a liability for us. This building was a visual liability. So if you look that way, you'll see the Museum of Discovery. That was a big stinking vision for a town that's at the time about 150,000 people, and every community that I know of in the United States would love to have that facility. And then if you look right through there and you see that rooftop, that's the Innisphere. And there's really amazing stuff going in that place as well. And you all have let us do that. You know, it doesn't mean this stuff is easy, but you all have agreed to leverage your tax dollars and your ratepayer dollars and your fees and fines and those sorts of things to make these things happen. And there's amazing stuff going on right there. The work there is how do you take ideas, really creative, innovative ideas, and help scale them up and get them out into the business community and begin to create jobs and things like that. So And then I want to say too, for me it's a bit geeky, but if you stand on the center of the bridge and you look at the railroad bridge, I remember standing out here with people like Kurt and John Stokes and lots of others, and that was a architectural liability for us. It was terrible. But if you stand on this bridge and look around, we, with thousands of people, have converted an area that has so much architectural and liability. It's now turned into one of the greatest community assets, this place here. This is also, for me, about relationships, and what an amazing place to be part of, where relationships really matter. It's about generations. I almost cried when I read the Graham family bridge story, and I had a chance to talk to Jack yesterday and thank him and thank Ginger. And again, they're two people that have done amazing things for this community, along with many other. But to the taxpayers, to set an environment where you allow your resources to be used for these reasons, we salute you and we thank you for allowing us to think big. And again, to my coworkers, I am thankful for your partnership. So with that, I get to turn it over to one of my colleagues who is an amazing designer of community. And Kurt, why don't you come on up?
Great. Well, this is a fantastic day for just a number of reasons. Seeing a project come to completion is rewarding. It's rewarding because you know the path that you've been on, right? You know what it took to get there. And I'll tell you, a big part of my journey has been working with so many different people. And part of this has been for me getting to know the Grahams a little bit, both Jack and Ginger. I want to thank both of them for their inspiration to me. You know, Jack mentioned the last 10%, and I heard their stories. They told me about the projects that they've been a part of and how fighting for that last 10% matter to them. And it's all about preserving, right? It's about saying, hey, we're going to make sure that the last pieces come together well. We're going to finish strong. We're going to have a project that looks good and works well. And, you know, interestingly, the way projects go is that last 10% is always the easiest to get rid of, right? Because of schedule or because of budget or because of fill in the blank. There's always reasons to get rid of that last 10%. So what I'd like to do is just share with you a few stories about how different people, different groups have fought for that last 10%. I'm going to start back in April 2018. It's a Tuesday. We're sitting in City Council. This project is funded at a base level. A base level means a lot of what you see isn't going to happen. It's basically the river. That's it. We looked at it and said, hey, let's realize the full vision here. And our council funded the remainder of the project, enabled us to realize the full vision. Let's go to May. One of the charges from the council was, you got to get some more philanthropic funding. So May comes around. I'm sitting across the table from Jack, and it's a long silence, and really long. And then he nods his head and says, yep, I'm in. I'll write you a big check. I'm all in on the Whitewater Park. And because of Jack and Ginger's generosity, we have this bridge. Thank you. Okay, so finally it's construction time. We're finally building the park. It's November. April is coming. What comes in April in Colorado? Snowmelt. We have a limited time frame to get the work done in the river. Our contractor comes to us and said, hey, we found a manhole. We said, okay, so big deal. They said, well, it's really old. We think it might be 100 years old. I said, oh, maybe you should stop. So sure enough, we found an old series of manholes and an infiltration gallery right here in the bottom of the river, and that was used to direct flows into the old power plant to cool the turbines that once sat on the edge of the river. Well, in a normal project, that wouldn't be a big deal, but for us, racing against the clock, it was a big deal. And there was a commitment from our team to map efficiently those historical features and to get them removed in a timely fashion. And in under 2 weeks, we were back on track. So I want to credit our contractor and our team for their quick, timely work in that effort. It's now March 2019. Mad Day project manager comes in my office. Kurt, he said, we've got to get irrigation on the native seed. And I know how to do it. And it's not going to cost any more money. I said, okay. And so Matt committed himself to figuring out how we could, within the budget that we had, work out how we could provide some irrigation on our native seed. And what that does is it just makes it establish a little faster, come in a little cleaner, rather than waiting years and years for that. So I would just want to thank Matt for his efforts in putting forward that idea. Because of Matt, that's a possibility today. It's now August 19. We're over at Fusion Metal Shop. There's a group of us, and we're huddled around the letter P. And it's 1/4-inch steel plate. We're staring at it. And somebody says, hey, how many letters do we need for the sign? Because we're talking about the big entry sign over here. And okay, Poudre River Whitewater Park, 25 letters. It's a lot of letters. And it's got to fit between the trees. There's 2 trees. We've got to fit the letters between the trees. How are we going to get this done? So I don't know. It's going to be a tight fit. We really hope the city council would have approved a shorter name. But we got it to fit. We got it to work, and in short order, the sign is fabricated and in place. So I want to thank our fabricators and team for their work there. Lastly, one more story. September, project's almost done. Things don't always go as planned. And I'm standing out here with Ted Johnson, president of ECI. They're the contractor. It's a hot day. And I looked at Ted, and he looked at me. He said, hey, Kurt, when do you want this open? I said, this weekend. We need it open this weekend. And we were talking about this part of the project over here. It's kind of a deep sigh. And looked around. He said, okay, we'll have it open. We're going to have it open this weekend. And their team worked tirelessly, long days, many, many, many long days for ECI, and they met the deadline. This project opened in mid-September as it had been scheduled on this side of the river. So I want to thank ECI for their efforts, their tireless commitment in meeting that deadline. So I guess, in short, I just want to say thank you for those who committed themselves not only to the 90%, but to that last 10. Because I think the last 10 is really what makes this place special. And I believe this will be Fort Collins' next great place, largely because of that commitment to the last 10. In closing, I just want to recognize a few folks. The community, thank you for your commitment in funding this effort. I want to thank again our private funders. There were many, the Grahams and many others. Thank you for your commitment and funding this project. I want to thank our advocates, Ben, Jeff, and Tim. Thank you for your partnership and work through this effort. I want to recognize our master plan contributors, Save the Poudre. There were many other groups who were involved in the master planning process. I want to thank them. I want to recognize our design team, Anderson Engineering, Greg and Brian, BHA, Roger and Molly. I saw them here. I'm going to recognize S2O, Scott and Nathan. Those are the guys that did the design of the features. I'm telling you, this project was difficult, and there was a lot of really hard work done by that design team. So I really want to thank them for their efforts and their longevity and their perseverance in getting us to the finish line. Special shout out to Greg Koch, project engineer right here. All right, our contractor, ECI, Ted, Jaron, Crystal, Dave, and Tyler, thank you for your efforts. Want to recognize our artist, John Davies. Please enjoy this beautiful piece of work. It's called Whitewater. Represents a whitewater wave. That was done by John Davies, an artist. So thanks to him. Finally, I just want to recognize a few staff members. I want to recognize Nina Bodenhammer. Thank you for your work, Nina. I want to recognize our key departments that partnered with us, Stormwater, Natural Areas, and Planning, for their contributions and partnership. I want to recognize Art and Public Places, Ellen, Parks and Recreation team. Thank you for your efforts and partnership. Jeff Usher, where's Jeff? Jeff was out here almost every day looking over this site, making sure it was built right. Thank you, Jeff. And last but not least, I want to thank Matt Day. Matt Day has been on this project from day one. He was out here almost every day supervising construction. I'll tell you, Matt cares deeply about this project. So I want to thank you, Matt, for your work. Great. With that, I think we're finally ready to cut the ribbon.
3, 2, 1.
Thank you again for coming.